For all those who remember these guys, by far the most requested band on my channel ever. And I understand why. I mean, they're awesome, they're legendary, they left a huge legacy. And I think you guys are gonna be really happy to hear that I sat down with Zach, the vocalist, and he was so cool, so kind, so patient because I was talking forever. I think the interview lasted like 3 hours, and it wasn't really an interview, it was more of a conversation. He told me all Elysia's story, and it will be an absolute honor to share it with you today. My friend, as usual, take a cup of coffee, cigarette, a pad thai, whatever you feel like as we explore the Elysia Myspace era. Real quick, before starting the video, if you didn't join our Discord yet, please do so because it's amazing. I'm still gonna repeat it. We have such a great community and you are more than welcome to join it. We also have our live shows on Twitch every Wednesday. I really love hanging out with you guys, you know, live and be able to have such amazing conversations about whatever, you know, Deathcore today and back when it was the Myspace era. All of it is amazing. It's a great journey. And I don't think I've mentioned this before, but I'm doing all of this with Dom from VRTRA. He's my partner in all of this. He's helping me with the live productions and stuff like that. He's great. And he's very active on the Discord server. So Dom, if you're watching this, well, I'm pretty sure you will. Thank you for everything. With all that being said, it's time to start the video. So the band was formed in 2003 in Shingle Springs, California, and yes, every single member was still in high school. As a matter of fact, they were going at the same school, so they were basically a bunch of friends who wanted to play extreme heavy music, which they did very successfully. And the band wasn't called Elysia at first, it was called Elysium Revenge, which is kind of a silly name if you think about it, but at the same time, you know, you're in high school, you have a band, it's such a struggle to find the proper name. It's almost harder to find a band name than actually writing songs. Because keep in mind, it's like, if you hear a band name right now, if I tell you Bring Me the Horizon right now, of course you're gonna say it's a cool name because you have all this image of this band, and if I say Attila, it goes the same and whatever. But when it doesn't exist and you just throw words like that, you're like, I don't know if it's good. But yeah, anyway, why am I explaining all of this? I have no clue. I'm sorry. The point is, they changed their name for Elysia, which brings us to the release of their very first EP called Killing Ground. Wow, man, such a cool EP. I mean, it was released in 2003. They were already mixing the hardcore with the death metal so well. I mean, Zach vocals, he was like, what, 13, 14 at the time, mixing the hardcore, angry kind of tones with like the death metal, guttural kind of approach. It was extreme, it was good, the riffs were extremely well executed. It's wild. And yeah, you might think they were like scene emo kids or whatever, but they were not. They were hardcore kids mushing at shows, but like hardcore shows, and they wanted to give back this raw brutality and vibe, which they obviously did perfectly, right? But yeah, musically, I mean, keep in mind, the Doom EP was in 2005, so deathcore wasn't a thing at all. So not only were they 13, 14 years old in high school playing amazing music, but on top of that, they were innovating already, mixing two things that nobody were mixing at the time. Of course, the EP was very well received, they were playing a lot of shows locally, building this hype, you know. And as they were doing that, they were also writing a brand new song called Incinerate, which, as you already know, would become one of their biggest songs. Which brings us to the release of the infamous 2004 demo. Oh my god. You know when I'm telling you in every single video that I miss raw deathcore with heavy hardcore influence? Well, I'm describing this. Incredible breakdowns, cool hardcore riffs, extreme unique vocals. I'm telling you guys, this was truly a game changer. As much as the band already had a fan base locally, this demo really helped their reach. They were starting to have fans in Vegas, Orange County, other places like that. It was a big deal. As I was talking with him, I was curious to know if their popularity at their school was increasing, and Zach basically started laughing and told me that no, not at all. For them it was a weird thing because they were trying to balance going at shows and be totally in their element and be cool in the scene, if you will, to then go back to their school and be the outcast, weird kids in a corner. Which, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, if you were a scene, emo, whatever, hardcore kid in high school back then, it wasn't cool. Like, the cool guys were like you see in the movies, like the football players and stuff like that. Us, emo scene, whatever kids with skinny jeans, we were considered like losers, you know? I mean, it's so cool to see today that deathcore is accepted and that the kids who listen to that are cool, but it wasn't like that back then, believe me. But yeah, I'm telling you, these guys were living the dream, you know? Playing heavy music together, having this second life outside of school, if you will. It was the dream, at least for me it was. Also, fun fact, since they were, you know, going all to the same school and sometimes they had to move like their music equipment and stuff, the security would be like, what are you guys doing with all of this? And they're like, well, we're playing a show tonight in this city. And the security was like, okay, cool. You know, because not many 13, 14 years old are that serious about a project. And it wasn't even only a project, it was an actual serious band doing well in the scene. I don't know, I admire them so much for this. To promote the release of the demo, they actually did a house party show with none other than Suffocate. Zach told me it was at their friend's house. They were actually playing in a living room. And the crazy thing is, their friend's parents were there. Meanwhile, these guys were playing in the living room. The most heavy, extreme, violent music at the time. I don't know, I think it's so cool. I mean, they had to be the coolest parents out there. Anyway, as much as they were young at the time, they really quickly understood how these things work. You know, they had merch already, it was doing well. They were on Myspace back in 2005. Zach told me that when they released their new song, Filthy, it did extremely well and they had a lot of Myspace plays and they were doing all the right moves for their career. Talking about the right moves, in 2005, they did a spring break tour with Impending Doom and Molotov Solution. How sick is that? I mean, imagine being in high school, you're going to the spring break, and instead of just hanging out in the city wondering what you're gonna do, you'd be touring with some sick deathcore band. I don't know, it's crazy to me. In 2006, the band went through some lineup changes, but nothing major. And then they decided to go in a studio to record a few songs. But here's what happened. Zach explained to me that their plan was to record a few songs and then go back later to finish the album. But when they told that to the engineer, of course he was like, guys, you can't really do that. It won't sound the same. It doesn't make sense to record separately. So they basically had to leave and come back later. Which brings us to the amazing, outstanding, incredible live performances.
We're Elysia, fuck it up.
Oh my god. Do I really need to explain why it was incredible? I mean, the hype, the ambience in the room, the extreme heaviness of it all, it was just amazing. So yeah, during that era, they kind of had a deal with a label at the time. But here's the thing. The band paid for everything, pretty much. They paid for the recording and all the costs, and they were expecting the label to help with the press, right? But no, they didn't help. Instead, they proposed to the band to take a part of the profit for promotion, I guess, but the band had to pay for everything, which makes no sense. So obviously the band backed off from the deal and decided to release their album all by themselves. Which brings us to the release of the incredible album called Masochist. Dear God, this album is just top tier. It's undeniable. This is exactly the best deathcore sound ever. It's raw, it's in your face, it's mean, it's perfect. Man, I miss this sound so much. By the way, this album is still to this day looked at as one of the most iconic deathcore albums ever made. I mean, it was done by high school kids in 2006. It's just unbelievable. The perfect mix of death metal riffs and hardcore vibes with guttural vocals, with of course some of the best breakdowns ever made. They describe the album as a rebellion against the scene emo trend that was going on. Like, they would just dress normally and appear more as hardcore kids, if you will. They just wanted to do their own thing, you know, away from fashion and stuff like that, which I think worked very well for them. And yes, I know some of their lyrics can be looked at as controversial today, but keep in mind, during the Myspace era, lyrics like that were pretty much in any band songs. I mean, just take a look at the old band merch and you're gonna understand. That being said, I kind of wanted to clarify the meaning of the song Incinerate. Because of the words at the end and through the songs, a lot of people think that it was an homophobic song or something, but it wasn't. Instead, it was the exact opposite. It was a song against homophobia. In the lyrics, they're basically talking about burning alive the homophobic people. And I know some of the words might not be ideal, I'll give you that, but it was important for me to clarify this part. Oh my god. I'm so sorry guys, since the beginning my camera was a mess and it looks so much better. I apologize for that. Let's go back to the video. Wait, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the lyrics. So Zach basically told me that he was inspired by Animosity, a very legendary band, but it was only lyrically, because in terms of sound, Zach really had his own thing. He wasn't really inspired by anyone, he just wanted to do extreme vocals, and that's why it was so unique and outstanding. Also, I think it's so cool that Elysia was part of the very beginning of deathcore. Zach actually told me a super cool story in which Whitechapel was opening for a show they were doing, and during the sound check, people started mushing everywhere and going crazy, and Phil Bozeman had to say like, guys, I'm sorry, but it just the sound check, like we didn't start yet. I don't know, I thought it was a cool story to share. And talking about that, I'm so excited to do a Whitechapel video. But yeah, keep in mind, back in those days, Elysia were playing with like big bands, Impending Doom, Night of the Abyss, Whitechapel, Suicide Silence, but they were all beginning. So they built up strong relationships with them, like they were friends with most of these bands, including Night of the Abyss. And I thought it was worth mentioning that years later, Zach did a guest vocal feature on one of their songs. Sick, right? But another thing that was pretty sick is the fact that they were playing with Suicide Silence in their beginning. And if you've watched my Suicide Silence video, you know how crazy this band was live. Zach explained to me that Mitch was always kind to them, trying to give advice, and he was even like helping the band by promoting their merch and stuff like that. I don't know, I'm telling you this because every single chance I'm gonna have to mention how amazing Mitch was, I'm gonna do it. So yeah, do I really need to tell you that the album release was a success? Okay, I will. It was a success. They saw a big difference in terms of popularity and impact in the scene. It was crazy. As I mentioned, they didn't have a label at the time, so they had to sell every copy by themselves, which they did. I think Zach told me they sold every single album they had at the time, which was 1,000, I believe. They were selling them at shows, online on Myspace. Zach was even shipping the album by himself, which was so rad, I think. By the end of 2006, the band members were graduating, and unfortunately Kevin, the drummer, had to quit the band to focus on college and school. You know how it is with these things, it's always a difficult choice to choose your band or your career with school. So fortunately for the band, after trying out many drummers, they finally found a good one and they kept going. The cool thing is, now that they were done with school, they had way more time, so they could tour, do their thing. It was awesome. Which brings us to 2007, and before telling you anything that happened during this year, I want to show you the live performances. Oh my god, I wish I could have been there. It was wild. If anyone watching this was there at their show, please leave a comment and share your experience. I just want to know how it was. So yeah, in 2007, the band had a really cool proposition to record in a big studio. The very same studio bands like All Shall Perish recorded. So it was an amazing opportunity for them. The only problem was when they arrived at the studio and they were ready to record, the new drummer never showed up. So they called him and they're like, dude, we're at the studio, are you on your way or something? And the guy really nonchalantly, is that a word? Whatever, he was nonchalant about it. Oh my god, I'm so bad at pronouncing things. But yeah, anyway, long story short, the drummer basically told Zach, I'm out of state, I have this other thing to do and whatever. So Zach was like, okay, but can you make it for tomorrow at least? And the drummer was like, yeah, sure, I'll be there tomorrow. So guess what? He wasn't there the next day. He basically just never showed up for the recording. So imagine how you feel. You're in your dream studio with your friends ready to record. And after 2 days of just being there, waiting, you have to leave empty-handed. I don't know, as he was telling me the story, I was upset. It's very frustrating. I'm not giving up his name because you know how I am, I'm not about drama, but dude, if you're watching this, not cool what you did. Not cool. Then, later on, unfortunately, Alex, the original guitar player, also had to quit the band, leaving Zach as the only remaining original member. He told me that Alex was leaving basically because he wasn't into deathcore so much. He never fully was, I guess. He was more of a death metal technical dude. So it really makes sense, you know? If you're not into what you do anymore, it doesn't really make sense to step up on stage and be in a scene you don't really enjoy being in, I guess. But yeah, it was a rough period of time for Zach because, you know, you have to cancel the recording and then your guitar player, one of your best friends, has to quit the band. It was like kind of all happening during the same time. So yeah, it was a big slap in the face. But you know what? He kept going and I respect him so much for doing that. He was like, let's at least finish the tour and we'll see what happened next. He replaced Alex with a guy named Mark, I believe, really talented too. They also found another drummer, and finally, things were starting to turn around. They were doing good. They were receiving many offers from different labels. Fun fact, one of the labels, a very big label, were asking them to do a showcase, which means playing in front of a few executives, which I think is very weird to do for a metal band. And Zach basically just told them, well, no, we won't do that. Come at one of our shows instead. You need to see this live. Which they did. They apparently went to one of their shows, but they ultimately didn't sign with them for some reasons. In fact, they chose to sign with none other than VRTRA Records. Super cool label with a great reputation. It was a good choice. I actually found a video for the song Incinerate. I don't know if it was an official thing or not, but I did saw the label name in the video, so I think it was kind of an official video they did with the label. So back on track with their brand new record deal and their new lineup, they went to a very big studio called God City with Kurt Ballou from Converge. And yes, I'm pretty sure I butchered his name, but if you've been watching my video, you know this is what I do. Zach told me that every single member of the band were extremely excited to record with such a legend. It was kind of a dream come true for them. As I mentioned early on, they really had hardcore roots, so recording with such an icon, obviously it was incredible for them. which leads us to 2008 when the band released their brand new album called Lion of Judas. Very good album, but so different, right? It was way more hardcore. Well, it was straight up hardcore, metalcore, and of course the fans were surprised, right? Like, Elysia was known to be this raw, extreme, violent deathcore band, so when they released this album more on the hardcore side, people were surprised. But the thing is, you have to remember, they had hardcore roots, as I said, and Zach explained to me that he wasn't so much into deathcore anymore, and it was the same thing for all the band members. So it completely makes sense that they basically did music they enjoyed. People were actually calling them sellouts, but it's the complete opposite. Like, if they would have been sellout, they would have done deathcore even though they didn't want to do that, knowing that their fan base wanted that, right? But instead, they listened to their art and what they wanted to do at the time, and they did a straight up hardcore album. It's as real as you can be. And yes, of course, in 2008, the live performances were out of this world. So sick, man. I mean, such a unique energy. It's incredible. And again, I'm gonna say it, I miss that. It's not like that anymore, right? Like, let me know in the comments. Maybe some bands are still going really crazy and it's just me, but it truly feels like after the Myspace era moving on, the performances were not so crazy anymore. Anyway, the band kept doing their thing, touring, playing live, it was going very well until they had to cancel one of the tour for personal reason. I won't go into it, but Zach told me that it kind of broke the band, like they had to cancel the tour and it just ended naturally. It's this weird thing, but yeah, that's what happened. But yeah, you might not know that, but years later, in 2016, Zach did another project with Alex, the original guitar player, and Mark, the person who replaced Alex, with the intention of bringing back Elysia, but it turned out to be black metal. pretty sick, right? I don't know, black metal has this so cool image and dark vibe. There's something about it. Which brings us to 2020, when some fans of the band Gulch was daring them to play Judgment by Elysia as a live intro. When Zach saw it, he actually commented that they should definitely do it, which led the band to invite Zach to perform live, and there's actually a video of it. So freaking sick, man. People were stoked to see Zach live again. People missed Elysia so much. And that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, I'm so grateful. Thank you, Zach, for being so kind and patient and cool with me. But most importantly, to be on board with me sharing your story as a band. It's an absolute honor, and it was so much fun to do. Guys, let me know in the comments if you would like to see kind of a podcast interview with me and Zach. I would, of course, be extremely happy to do it. And as usual, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe. Feel free to comment. It's amazing. I love reading all your stories and all that. I know you've been waiting for this video, so I hope you liked it. Don't forget to join our Discord. It's so cool, and I'm waiting for you there. And I can't go on without mentioning that we're live every Wednesday, 6 p.m. on Twitch. With all that being said, I'm gonna stop talking now. I'll see you in the next one.